Bruce Wanless from Brampton, Ontario. 81, I'm 81, just turned, I'm on my way to 82, about halfway to 82, so. November the 21st, 38, born and raised in Brampton. I was just known as Bruce. Now mind you, my coach, Mush Thompson, used to call me the apple pecker because I was tall, but it didn't stick with the rest of the world, no. I started my lacrosse career in junior with Brampton, and they were short-handed, and nowadays they wouldn't even looked at me, but they were glad to have a body, and so they gave me a chance, and I learned a lot that year. I was picked up for the playoffs, actually three times, okay? Actually, I go back to Wayne Thompson because him and I were friends and great teammates. And in 1960, when we first year senior, Port Credit picked us up to play against the West and won the Mann Cup. Unfortunately, the only Mann Cup we won. Then in 62 and 63, Brampton, we played the West and lost. 63, St. Catharines picked me up when we played the West, and that game was played in Cornwall. And then again in 67, Brooklyn picked me up when we went west to play the West and unsuccessfully. So, but it was good. We all knew each other. We played each other over the years so much. The nucleus of each team, we knew them all well. And so, they picked you up because they wanted you to help them, and we accepted that. And you walked in and sat down, took your place in the dressing room, and just as if it was your hometown. So we're all from the east, going after the west. So. In 1956, we won. Actually, we were in fourth place down east here, and we came through and won down east to go west. We went by train, of course, and stopped in Winnipeg, and had a good, I think it was 2 of the 3 series with Winnipeg, and beat them, and then went out to Vancouver. Had quite a lesson. A big Vancouver team with a lot of stars on it gave us quite a lesson. But I keep saying over the years, we were good learners because we bounced back, and then 57 and 58 and 59, we won the Minto Cups. So, and once was 58, I think I'd like to tell you about the 58 trip west by train. Of course, we left Toronto, and 2 or 3 days till Calgary with 20 guys, and we had our own car. You can imagine the fun that was. We got to Calgary, and they took us by dayliner to Nelson, BC, and we played there. We only played every other game. They did every other day. They didn't rush us through like now. They play 3 games in a row, but there we had a game in between to have fun, and we beat Victoria the first 2 games. So the powers to be said, no, we're not drawing enough people. We should go back to Victoria to play the rest of the series. So we packed up and went by bus to Vancouver and took the ferry over to Victoria, and were there for 3 or 4 more days probably by the time we got there. And once again, we beat them the next 2 games, won 4 straight. So, but we had 2 great goalkeepers, Bob Savage and Pat Baker. And in fact, we won all the playoff games. We never lost a playoff game. We won the 8 down here and the 4 out west. And so then we came back on the train, got on the train, and headed her home winners. I was with Brampton except for the 1 year in 1968. I played for Jimmy Bishop in the Detroit Olympics. I had a very interesting year with Jim in Detroit. He was different than our hometown coaches. We were a little more relaxed, where Jim was very regimental and whatnot. He named himself after, what's his name in Green Bay? He liked to think he was Vince Lombardi. He sort of liked to think he was after Vince Lombardi. And he practiced every night of the week. And even when we played, we'd practice other nights. And he used to be really good on the weekends that we weren't playing. We would go and play Friday night, and he would play 9 o'clock Saturday morning. And then Jim was good-hearted. He gave us the whole weekend off till Sunday afternoon. We went back and practiced again. One thing that I stood out, and I still like to think, do it. And he told me, he preached to us that we were professionals, and we wasn't just getting paid for it. It was how we acted on the floor and off the floor. And I always remembered that, and I always try to keep that in mind even now. Yeah. Actually, it was pretty good for that time of year. It was $50 a game, but they covered a lot of expenses. They tried to give you a bit of gas mileage for going to practices and stuff like that. And then we had bonuses. And when I went in to talk to Bishop, of course I was green, I was from Brampton, and he said, "What are you looking for?" And I said, "Well, I think with my record, I should be up there with the top. You know, and if you're as smart as you think you are, if you want me to play that way, you'll put me there. And if you want me to play a little worse, I'll probably not." And he did. He treated me well. I got the $50 a game, which was top price then, and I think I picked up $500 extra at the end of the year with bonuses that he created. And so I actually, for back in '68, that was a week's wages. Yeah, yeah. We all us ordinary players are played. We all got color TVs. You know, that was the one thing. I think everybody ended up with a color TV. Well, I think Jack, as far as known for the game, Jack Bionda was one of probably the greatest. Mind you, there's a lot of good players now. Bobby Allan was a great player. These are the ones I played against. Of course, before my time a little bit, there was Gaylord Powless. Not Gaylord, I played with Gaylord in Detroit. But there was Ross Powless, his dad, and he was, you know, a pretty hell of a lacrosse player from what I gather. So yeah. But in my era, but Peterborough always had a good team. Johnny Davis, of course, was a hell of a player, you know, a great player, and you could go on and on. I hate to start saying it, how many, because I'd miss some really good ones. Yeah. The game has changed since I played it. The 30-second rule was probably the main thing that changed it. I played a few years with it, and it had to happen. We had always had a big, slower team, and you'd get a good, better lead on a team, and it would slow down. Long Branch had a young guy by the name of Flory Tom Chisholm, and he could drag the ball for 3 or 4 minutes, you know. And as I say, the old hometown enjoyed it, but you know, for new people, it wasn't the spectators. They needed the game speeded up. So I see where they've changed the offense defense, and it makes a good game. I've adjusted to it, but I think it was nice to be able to play both ends of the floor. Yeah. We talk about the offense defense, yes. And watching it, I've often thought, I think if I was an offensive player, I would, once in a while, I'd drop the ball to the defensive player and say, "Here, you take that ball, I'm going to check you," because it was kind of a little equalizer. You know, if you treated the guy too mean at one end of the floor, you knew you were going to get straightened around at the end of the floor, and that was one good thing about it. We used to call the old wooden stick the old equalizer, but I don't think it happened too much. Like we mentioned Bobby Allan all the time, but nobody took advantage of Bobby Allan. He was good. You didn't slash Bobby Allan very much because he'd run around you, so you had to check him legally and fairly, you know. And I think back in those days, Bobby Allan didn't pick up a 6'2" guy. He would pick up another guy, and then one of their big defensemen would pick me up, you know. So yeah, well, I kind of think we played two ways. In '59, when I won the Denham McIntosh Trophy, I was a great defenseman, but I was also second top scorer. You know, and nowadays they just can't do that. And I think that's something that's a little hard on the kids, because they don't get the glory. The offense gets more glory than the defense usually. But back in those days, you were both, eh? And then I think they brought in the 30-second rule, which back in our day we used to rag the ball pretty good. If we got a bit of a lead, we had always had a fairly big team, and we could rag the ball. And our hometown fans thought it was great. We won, but it wasn't great for new people. Yeah, I would just like to comment and wrapping up that what a great comradeship it was for lacrosse. So we always said we were playing for the love of the game. We weren't playing for the money. Nobody was making any money out of it. I think a thing that stands out in my mind was when I was with Bishop in Detroit. He got me throwing a long shot on goal, winding back and getting a good shot away, because I'd never done that much before. So afterwards, we were playing. I was playing with Brampton. We were down in Peterborough, and I got the chance. I wound up and shot and scored. And John Davis said, "Bruce, what a great goal." And this is what went on, I think, all the time. If you did something great, even though he's on another team, we all appreciate each other. Grant Heffernan played for Peterborough, and he had a hell of a shift. And we all would say, "You're hard to stop." There was a great comradeship there.